My makeup is my experience combined with my genetics. Hello everyone. Today we are going to continue with chapter number 9, Heredity and Evolution. Hello everyone. So in this video we are going to understand the contribution of Gregor John Mendel. He is also known as father of genetics. He worked on garden pea plant. Actually, he was a monk. He was living in a monastery and he was expert in mathematics and science. So, he actually mixed up both the knowledges of him in order to carry out certain experiments, and then he has given certain conclusions. So in this particular video we are going to understand why he is called as father of genetics, what was his contribution in genetics, and what was the work that he did. So let us understand the basic knowledge about Gregor John Mendel, that is father of genetics. So he basically worked on garden pea plant. Garden pea plant, specifically the species is given over here, that is Pisum sativum L. If you remember, in 9th standard we learned that whenever we are writing scientific names, so we need to make underlines that name, right? And that is also separately, see, as I did here. So keep it in your mind, whenever you are writing the name of garden pea plant, the scientific name of garden pea plant, at that time the first letter of Pisum must be capital, rest all are small, and then underline them separately. It is according to the binomial nomenclature method. Clear? Okay, so back to the topic, contribution of Mendel, or what did he do? So he has worked on garden pea plant. Actually he was a monk and he was living in a monastery and he was expert in science as well as mathematics. He has taken degrees from various universities, so he was a very learned person. And he blended his knowledge of science and mathematics in order to carry out these experiments and give the conclusions. So, he has observed two types of the pea plants in his monastery. Actually, he was growing these pea plants in the backyard of the monastery, and there only he was observing them. What did he observe? He observed that pea plants have 7 pairs of contrasting characters. 7 pairs of contrasting characters. See, contrasting means what? In the same character, if you get differences. Say for example, color of the flower. So 2 types of the flowers are available, right? Violet and white. So this particular difference in the same character is known as contrasting character. So such characters he has found in garden pea plant. So did the Pisum sativum L was his experimental model. Then he took the pea plants with different characteristics and produced their progeny and then calculated the percentage of inheritance. See, as we have discussed earlier also, that he blended his knowledge of science and mathematics. So he was doing the same here. First of all, he has taken the pea plants, then he has produced the progeny out of them by breeding, and then after he has calculated the ratio or the percentage of the inheritance of those particular characters. But due to less circulation of his copies or his work was not recognized for 34 years. After 34 years to his death, his work was rediscovered by these three scientists: Hugo de Vries of Holland, Karl Correns of Germany, and Chermak of Austria. So these three scientists all together have rediscovered the work of Mendel, and then they have republished in 1901. See, he died in 1884 and his work was recognized in 1901. It means around 34 years has passed to his death, and then after his work was recognized. And then his principles, whichever he has proposed by doing experimentation on Pisum sativum L, were called as laws of inheritance, and he was entitled as a father of genetics. So this was all about Mendel. It is an introductory part of Gregor John Mendel. Now, only one question arises in our mind, that why he has selected garden pea plant. Why not anything else? Why only that plant? Why not other plant? So, let us see and try to answer that question. So let's try to understand the question and answer it, that why did Mendel select pea plant as his experimental model? Right? The first reason was it had very short life cycle. Annual. Annual means within a year, if you will sow the seeds, you will get the next generation ready in your hand, so that he could observe whatever characters are inherent from parents to the progeny and was able to conclude certain principles behind that. So, due to the short life cycle of these plants, it was possible to study several generations within shorter period of time. Next is easy to raise, maintain and handle. These plants are very easy and convenient for raising. Very less maintenance they need, and handling them was also very easy for him. Next is it had bisexual flowers. In the previous chapter, reproduction, right? In that we have studied about two types of the flowers, monosexual or unisexual and bisexual. So here there were bisexual flowers. Bisexual means both male as well as female reproductive parts you will get on the same flower. Male reproductive part stamen and female reproductive part carpel or pistil. Both you will find on the same flower. So what was the benefit of it? If the flower is growing, then both the reproductive organs, stamen as well as pistil, will get mature at the same time. If they are getting mature at the same time, then whatever he wants to perform, the experimentation of cross-pollination or self-pollination, that he was able to do. And because of the bisexual flowers, self-pollination was possible. Clear? Next, artificial cross-pollination was also possible. See, two benefits are there. Self-pollination was possible as the flowers were bisexual, and even you can lead to cross-pollination. That is why here the term is used as artificial cross-pollination. Right? So we need to lead this particular pollination process. How exactly it can be achieved? It can be achieved by emasculation. Emasculation is a process of removal of stamen before they get mature. Once the flower will open, then it will take time for stamen as well as pistil to get mature. So before both of them get mature, from half of the flowers he will remove that stamen, So only the female reproductive part will remain, right? In this way he was doing the cross pollination, and he was also ensuring that cross pollination from other flowers will not be possible, because he was covering up these flowers with bags, so that pollen grain from any other flower will not come and fertilize the ovule. Only from the selected plants the pollination was possible, and for that what he was doing, once the stamen get mature, he will take the stamen and dust the pollen grain on the female reproductive parts or on the stigma, and again he was covering up so that no possibilities of contamination remains. Clear? So artificial cross pollination was possible by emasculation. Emasculation is removal of stamen from the bisexual flowers, and only pistil will remain. Done. Next is plants show distinct detectable contrasting traits. So when he was working at that time, it was not possible for him to find out which genes are inherent, because there was no discovery of such scientific apparatus, right? He was in 18th century. So for him it was very convenient to find such characters which are easy to detect, and he can easily get results or conclusions out of his experimentation. The last point was produce large number of seeds that help to draw authentic conclusion. If the number of seeds are more, means you can study more population of the same generation, and then you can draw an authentic result out of that particular experiment. So these all are the reasons of why did Mendel select garden pea plant as his experimental model. Done. This is important question, can be asked for around 2 to 3 marks, so you need to remember all these points. So note it down. Now let's try to understand which were the 7 pairs of contrasting traits because of which Mendel has selected Pisum sativum L or garden pea plant. See, here in seeds there were 2 characters, shape and color of the seed. There were 2 types of the contrasting traits in the shape. Certain seeds were round and certain seeds were wrinkled. Next is color of the seed. So, some of the seeds were yellow in color and some of the seeds were green in color. Now you can notice the contrasting character. Next is flower. In the flower also 2 characters were selected, that is position of the flower and color of the flower. In position of the flower, 2 positions were there. If we are getting the flowers at the tip of the branch or the stem, then it is said as terminal flower. And if we are not getting the flower on the tip and we are getting it somewhere else, like in between the stem, right, then it is said as axial flower. Next, color of the flower. So in the color also there were 2 contrasting traits. Some of the flowers were violet in color, some of them were white in color. The next character is pod. Now there are 2 contrasting traits which he has found in the shape of the pod. If the skin of the pod is completely covering to the piece, right, like this, see, we will get certain pods like this. So as per the seed, it is completely sticking to the seed. So such type of the character is said as constricted pod. And if it is not sticking to the seeds and inflated like this, Clear? So in the pod only there were two types of the shapes, inflated shape as well as constricted shape. In the constricted one, the skin was stick to the seeds, and in the inflated one it was not. The next one is color of the pod. Some of the pods were green in color, whereas some of them were yellow in color. The last contrasting character was height of the stem. Some of the plants were tall heighted, whereas some of them were short. So these all are the 7 contrasting characters which Mendel has selected while experimenting with Pisum sativum L or garden pea plants. I think it is pretty much clear to everybody. So now let's learn how exactly he was symbolizing this particular traits or characters when he was noting down the results. Here you see in the title box, certain characters we have marked as dominating traits and others are marked as recessive traits. For dominating traits, we have to select the character of dominance. Like here, round is given yellow, right? So this particular character we are taking, and the first letter of its spelling is to be taken either in capital or in small to symbolize these traits. Clear? Now, where to use capital letter and where to use small one? Let's see. For the dominating one, we will be using capital R. Round is the character, so we will use capital R to symbolize the round shape of the seed. And for wrinkled, we are going to use small r. Why? Because it is recessive one. First of all, understand what is meant by dominating and recessive. Dominating means what? The trait which is going to be expressed under any condition. Even if that trait is alone or it is in pair, it is only going to be expressed. If it is pairing with the recessive one, then it is going to suppress the expression of the recessive gene. Clear? It means, suppose round and wrinkled for shape of the seed, both of these genes are present, then only round will get expressed. You will not get wrinkled seeds at all, even though the gene is present in the cell or in the plant. Clear? This recessive trait can get expressed only when both of them are recessive. Done? There are particular terminologies, but we will learn it later on. As of now, you remember that dominating one will get expressed whether it is alone or it is in pair with other dominating or other recessive gene. And recessive one will get expressed only when it is pairing with another recessive. Clear as that? Now back to that symbols. So here, color of the seed, for that we are using capital Y. Capital Y is for the dominating one and small y will be used for recessive one. Same way, for position of the flower, axial one is dominating trait, so we will be using capital A as a symbol. And for the same recessive trait, we are going to use small a. Same for the color of the flower. Violet is the dominating one, so capital V as a symbol, and for white, small v. Clear? Same as for the shape of the pod, inflated is dominating trait, so we will be using capital I. And for contrasting trait, we are going to use small I as a symbol. Next is color of the pod. So green is dominating one, we will use capital G to symbolize it, and for yellow we are going to use small g. And for the last character, that is height of the stem, tallness is the dominating trait. So we are going to use capital T as a symbol of tallness. And for dwarfness, we are going to use small t. Clear? Again reminding you the same thing. What we have to do here is we have to find out the dominating trait. Then from the spelling of the dominating one, the first letter we are going to use as a symbol. If we are writing that particular letter in capital, then it will represent to the dominating trait. And if the same letter is written in the small case or lower case, then it is said as recessive trait. Now let's try to understand the experimental approach of Mendel. How exactly he has carried out the whole experiment, right? That we are going to learn here. It is just a rough idea about the way he has carried out his experiment. We are going to learn both of his experiments in detail, so you will get a complete idea at the end of both of those experiments. So there were mainly 3 steps. The first step was selection of pure pea plant. Now here the term pure means what? Pure means the plant is having the traits for the same character. Okay, let us go back to those 7 contrasting characters, right? The last character, if you remember, that we have taken height of the stem. So there were 2 contrasting characters, capital T and small t. Capital T was denoting to tallness and small t was denoting to dwarfness. Clear? So whenever he has taken the plants, at that time he has ensured that the plant contains only capital or only small t's as traits or as genes. Now we are calling those traits as genes. So this condition is to be fulfilled. This is known as homozygous condition. I told you na that there is a particular term for this. So this term is said as homozygous. Homozygous means what? That both the traits are completely identical. Either both of them need to denote a dominating character or a recessive character. It should not be like that one is dominating and one is recessive. Then it cannot be termed as pure. So first he has selected the pure pea plant. Now only question arises in our mind is, at that time there was no discovery of microscope also. Electron microscope also was not discovered. So how did exactly he come to know that the plant he has selected is pure? For that he has grown the same plant and allowed self-pollination only by covering them or covering the flowers with bags. And as a result, whatever peas were produced, he has sown it again and again for so many generations. And the same character was observed in all the generations. So that he has concluded that the plant that he is going to use is pure for that particular character. Clear? The second step is production of F1 generation through hybridization. Here the term hybrid is used. That is also not new. In 9th standard already you people have studied about hybridization, but that was for animals. Here we are using it for plants. So how exactly he made his hybrid? Say for example the same feature we are going to take again. So what he will do? He will take pure tall plant and cross that pure tall plant with pure dwarf plant. So when that cross was made, characters of both the parents will get inherent, and in the first generation, it is the first generation, so it is denoted as F1. It is also called as first filial generation. Filial means related generation. So it is the F1 generation. In F1 generation, he got mixture of the characteristics. This condition is hybrid condition. This is not termed as pure. Clear? This condition we can term as heterozygous condition. So two new terminologies we have studied, right? Homozygous and heterozygous. Homozygous means what? When both the traits are identical or they are denoting to the same character or feature. Heterozygous means what? Both the traits are different. One is of dominating and other one is of recessive. Clear? In the first step, he has selected pure pea plants. Then after, both the pure pea plants were crossed with each other and he led to hybridization. And because of the hybridization, he got this hybrid or heterozygous condition in the first filial generation. Then after, this first filial generation was allowed to do self-pollination and he got F2 generation. And then again self-pollination of F2 was done and F3 was obtained. Likewise, he has carried out his experiments and he has concluded certain basic principles of genetics. So I hope the experimental approach of Mendel is clear. There are mainly 3 steps. In the first step, pure pea plant or pure parents are selected. This particular generation is known as parental generation. So selection of the pure parents. Once the pure parents are selected, then after step 2, that is hybridization. Both of them are allowed to cross with each other and hybrid for the same character is obtained. And once the hybrid or the first filial generation is obtained, then that generation is allowed for self-pollination. Self-pollination they will do and they will form F2 generation. Likewise, F2 is allowed for self-pollination and we will get F3 generation. So these are the steps of his experimental approach. Clear? In the next video, we are going to learn both the experiments of Mendel. Till that, read the chapter thoroughly, copy down the notes from the videos and take care of your health.